Finally, we have hit a milestone. We did hit 10 episodes at some point last year, but in 2023, we've now hit quarter of a century. It's episode 25. And for those that are in the know, you will know the man to my immediate left-hand side. He is none other than the... and he's looking around the place as if to say, who the bloody hell he's talking about? It is the one... Yes, it's the one and only Mr. TCR Guru and the man behind TCR UK and the Milltek Sport Civic Cup social media and so much more. A very warm welcome to Commentator's Corner, Phil Kinch. How are you, buddy? Finally, we got round to get you on the show.
I gotta say, it's my turn, and you picked a milestone. No pressure, honestly, no pressure at all.
None at all. No. None at all. None at all. No. I will have to give a shout out to Marco Barbanetta, who has made me record the longest ever episode so far, which measures just a couple of seconds shy of 1 hour and 32 minutes. So.
Oh, okay, we're going to break that tonight.
Spoken like a true daredevil there, Mr. Kinch.
You ain't leaving till 10 o'clock, Goldschmidt. That's simple as that.
Oh, bugger. I'm in for the long haul. I'm in for the night shift.
You're in for the long haul, yeah.
I am indeed. But Phil, if you'd like to introduce yourself to the folks out there and tell us your role within motorsport, please.
So, my name is Phil Kinch. My favourite colour is blue. My favourite number is what I do in motorsport. Yeah, I suppose that helps. Yeah, so I am the championship administrator and social media officer for TCR UK, TCR UK Touring Car Championship, the Milltek Sport Civic Cup, and also for Maximum Motorsport and their various activities. I work alongside various people such as Stuart Lyons, Nicky Lyons, Ash Gallagher, the people that run the TCR UK Championship and also Milltek Sport Civic Cup. I'm also responsible for organising drivers to make sure they're prepared ahead of each event and welcoming new drivers' teams into each championship and putting out social media content on a daily basis. So if you're watching this and thinking, who is that prat that does this on a... Hi, my name's Phil.
On a daily basis.
On a daily basis, yeah. They let me have a day off now and then, unless I stamp my foot and cry, but it doesn't happen often. Yes, that's what I do, amongst many, many other things. That's a very simple explanation of my job.
Well, considering the milestone, and we need to have a brief chat about someone who we've just lost in the motorsport community.
Yes.
The late Dan Kirby, who just at the age of 38 passed away just on the week of this recording. And I just want to say, folks, that this episode is in memory of Dan. And we have to give a shout out to everyone that's known him, his wife, his two kids, the Kirby family, everyone at Trade Price Cars, Octane Finance, and of course the greater motorsport community. We have to give a shout out to one particular big friend of his, Andy Wilmot, as well on that front. So episode 25 is going to have a very, very moving tribute at the end of this episode. So Dan, this one's for you, buddy. Rest easy. Thank you. And we miss you, buddy. So, Phil, the first question.
Guilty. Oh, sorry, you're going to ask the question first. Oh, okay, right. Sorry, you asked the question, I'll answer. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so, first of all, how did Mr. Kinch get bitten by the motorsport bug, and who was the culprit?
Right. So, that's my father.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually. This is probably going to be quite a public thing. This is something I don't normally talk about. But my father is responsible for my love of motorsport and also my love of sci-fi as well. And it's to sort of give an idea to all the viewers and everyone watching, listening as they do. So I'm an 80s kid. Grew up with the likes of the great Murray Walker, James Hunt. Doing commentary on Formula One on Sunday Grandstand, or on BBC Two as it used to be.
Yeah. With good old Les Lynam and
that's it, Les. Yeah,
Des Lynam and the iconic tash on when it was World of Sport. It was Dickie Davies, if I remember correctly. Yep. Both no longer with us, I'm afraid, but two great broadcasting giants in their own right. We still have one who's been around since then, and he's still part of the Quick British Touring Car Championship.
Indeed.
Steve Ryder.
So I grew up in the 80s with, Grandstand watching on a Saturday. They used to show British touring cars, Formula 3, rallying at one point when that used to be on the RIC. Rally used to be a thing. Watching in November, December time when you had the Rallycross Grand Prix, all that sort of stuff. which you can find on YouTube nowadays. Thank goodness that got me through COVID.
Yep.
And that's what got me hooked into it. And at the time, as a kid, it was amazing to see the speeds that the cars did, touring cars, Formula One, any sort of motorsport that was on at the time. But it was also the commentary from both Murray and James and the way they worked together. And it's like, I grew up with the ambition. Most kids go, I want to be a train driver. I still do in some cases, but still.
No, fair enough.
But yeah. And when I was asked that one day in school, I said, I want to be Murray Walker. Well, the class went silent on me, and it's like, who's Murray Walker? Oh, he does all the talking, as I used to call it back then. He does all the talking on the motorsport that's on the weekends. Oh, okay. So yeah, it was me, my dad, sat watching the motorsport. Just simply got me into it from that point, and that was basically how the bug bit me. Other kids grew up, I want to be a footballer, they're going out playing football at weekends and stuff. No, I want to watch the motorsport and everything from there. And it just grew from that point. So as I grew older, I wanted to know more. And I was one of these people that's like, okay, I can watch Formula One over weekends, learning all the details, how the wings work when they get understeer, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I sort of became, with the friends that I have, one of those people who feel, I don't understand what this means, and I can explain it in layman's terms. I've got this. I was going to say issue. Talent, I think, is the best word. To
Issue.
take,
That's
yeah, I was going to say issue. Many of them. Excuse me. So basically, I can take tech speak and put it into layman, and do this across many things. And lots of people just like, how do you learn this? How do you understand this? And it was literally years of watching Formula One on telly, watching touring cars on telly, rallying, any form of motorsport, and just listening to what the commentators were saying, taking the details in of when they were doing special bits about what this part of the car does, what this part of the car does. And yeah, I was a fully fledged fan. So there were weekends when it was right, Formula One's on. That's my weekend. Saturday, Sunday, touring cars is on. That's my weekend on a Sunday. And for many years, I was a fan. And then in 2013, that changed up a gear. So at that point, I was full-time relationship, 2 lovely stepchildren. Things went downhill in my life quite badly. I had a nervous breakdown in 2013. So, and part of my recovery from that was a suggestion by my GP at the time, which my then partner Nick made, which was, well, you love your motorsport, write about it. You're good at writing. I've always been pretty good at writing from school age and everything. That's been a thing for me. And I started writing a blog. And as you had alluded to at the start of the show, the TCR Guru. So I started off with the Tin Top Guru as my blog, on started up a WordPress, and was trying to figure out what I was going to talk about. This all coincided at the same time as Rallycross moving from a European Championship to a World Championship, and I wrote my blog about some of that, and it sort of was getting interest with people and looking at the various figures and facts that you can do. It was becoming sort of quite clear to me that people were finding that really interesting, so I carried on. And 2 things happened in 2014. So I got the chance to write for the Checkered Flag.
Yep.
The website that covers many things. And the announcement of TCR in its form came late in 2014 as well. And I was finding myself, by this time, I'd moved away from Formula One. I was starting to find it boring. I wasn't agreeing with lots of things. And I thought, you know what? There's other more interesting stuff out there. Rallycross was catching my attention.
Yeah.
Touring cars always had my attention, but I found myself moving more away from British touring cars to world touring cars. So what was WTCC, what was ETCC, and finding that just as interesting as well. And eventually, when TCR was announced, I thought, you know what? I'm going to focus the blog on this. I want to learn everything about this. I want to get the information out to everyone. And talk about this new form of touring car racing, because almost all motorsport fans will go, okay, we know what Formula One is. We know what touring car racing is, and then straight away they'll either be British touring cars, world touring cars. You've got the fans that watch endurance racing, all that sort of thing. And I thought, I want to know about this. This seems really exciting. It's a new way of doing touring car racing, and it has a lot of sense to it. So I focused my blog on TCR, and I'm going to say here and now some quite amazing things happened from that decision.
Yes, which we discussed
Yeah,
outside of a recording. So,
yeah,
folks, you're going to hear it from the horse's mouth right now. Pardon the pun, but
yeah,
this is what Phil told me.
yeah. So basically, what happened was that I got noticed by the people at TCR, and when they were getting everything together in 2015, when several TCR series started around the world. And at this point, I'm going to say, yes, it was quite an amazing journey. And it still is, because I'm still on that journey. Scary to think it started in 2015 and here we are in 2023 and it continues. The reason for the TCR Guru moniker is because it was suggested by my then partner Nick. So if anyone ever wants to know why do you call yourself TCR Guru, Phil, it's because of her. She set up the idea of the blog, she set up the idea of writing, she helped me with all the setup and stuff. It's her fault. I'm just saying.
Oh, nice way to throw Nick under the bus there, Phil.
Oh no, that's always been the agreement. She's always wanted the responsibility of taking, who is responsible for this happening. She wants it. That's fine.
Yeah,
pick a bus. We're good on this.
It could be an open top London red double decker bus for all we know, going over Tower Bridge. For instance.
No, it's not a problem. She'll be fine. Should she see this, she'll tell me what she thinks. But anyway, not a matter. So that's one thing to stipulate. But I love my motor racing, as it should be clear. And I really stuck at this TCR idea and thought, right, started watching it, watching the live streams, understanding the teams, drivers, the cars involved. And it started to gather steam. So a sort of brief history of TCR is it started in 2015. It was announced in 2014. Several series popped up, and basically what you have is production cars that are built by manufacturers, sold to customers, and the customers run the cars. And if they want some form of technical support, they can pay for that support from the manufacturer or the I'm trying to think of the phrase, the authorized agent, as I call it. So the team who deals with all the sales, all the customers.
Yeah.
So I carried on writing about this over several years, and I caught the attention of Mark James, who was involved in TCR. He's been involved in motorsport for many, many, many years.
Yes.
Which you'll probably love me for saying, but still.
Well, Mark, we need to get you on the show.
Yes, definitely. He's probably got some stories. I haven't been given a restraining order yet, though. I must be doing something wrong.
No, I think you're doing something. You're doing everything right, because otherwise he wouldn't be contacting you otherwise. A bit like some of the motley crew you work with at TCR UK, such as Messrs O'Neill, McEwen, and Jordan. But then you had three. Then you had three different white elephants coming into the room at Croft. Me, Scott Woodwis, and Henry Baudet earlier on this year, which we'll get on to talking about that weekend a little bit later on. But there's I want to interject here, because there's something that people don't really know about Phil's continuation in his journey. Now, Phil, we had a very and this is something we haven't really openly admitted publicly as such. But I wanted.
Oh, hang on. Do I need the solicitor ready?
No, you don't. No, you don't. No.
Okay.
Now the thing is that when you get to a certain point now. And Phil, I think this was around about 2018, 2019, that you were saying to me, look, I'm really enjoying it, but I really want to get into the business. And you were in a full-time job at the time.
Yes.
And I kept on saying to Phil, I'm always here if you need me. WhatsApp, phone call, whatever. If you need to talk for 20 minutes, I'm there for you. And that just goes to show the solidarity of people within motorsport.
Apologies for the jump just there. A great big daddy long leg just suddenly flown across and caught my wrist. I'm here now. I'm fine. I'm back now.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. Look, this is recorded as is, folks, so it won't be edited in post. Apart
You'll
from
regret this.
I will. 15 minutes in, Kinch, and you're already getting yourself into trouble. Bloody hell. But Phil, like a lot of people who try to make it into this business, and this is where I have to be very, very honest and very, very matter of fact, is that there was a point where you moved on from the checkered flag, you joined Downforce Radio,
Yes. Yeah.
and I was part of the team then. I'm still one of the original alumni, alongside Mr. Sanson, who has been on the show before as well. Trying to get a few more of the either current or ex Downforce Radio alumni on the show.
Mm.
And you said, "When will it pay off?" And I said,
Yes.
"Don't lose sight. Keep going." And then one day out of the blue, this man gives me a phone call and says, I've just had Nicky Lines approach me. And I was like thinking,
Yes.
right, now we're getting somewhere. And then the next thing you know, he's handed in his notice and he's happier than a pig in proverbial shit. He still is to this very, very day. But I have to say that
Sorry, just getting comfy again.
no, that's fine. That's fine.
No,
But
in the proverbial.
in the proverbial. But I think at the end of the day, you're another personification of you keep going. No matter what trials, tribulations are thrown your way, you got there. And
Yes.
you're now living that motorsport dream. You know now about the long days, the early get-ups, the mountains of
yes.
meetings, phone calls, Teams chats, Discords, whatever, whenever. This man
If
goes
you're
through the...
interested in getting into motorsport, take note of everything he's just said and more. Just saying.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There's so much more on top of that list, but that just gives you an idea.
But that is basically the thing is that by having people that understand the industry and you're like you use me as your sounding board, and I was always of the same opinion. Keep pushing. You never know when you're going to get that break. The same for me, because it took Phil about the same amount of time to start getting into a real sort of push. It took me about 6 years before I started getting paid for work. And it was the same for Phil. Because, Phil, we have a little bit of a correlation between us because we were both doing full-time jobs whilst pursuing the work in the quote-unquote the other office, which is now the full-time office, haven't we?
Exactly. And the dream was, as you said, to make that full-time job, to make the hobby the full-time job, the dream to be the full-time job. So on my side of things, it was, I was working for an energy company. It was a 9 to 5 job. And then outside of that, as soon as I'd finished that job, before doing any various bits in the evening or going anywhere or whatever, I was then picking up bits for Downforce. At the time, covering TCR UK, TCR Europe, WTCR, and even ETCR when that came along as well. And I will happily admit the amount of arguments that caused at home was amazing because whilst the understanding was there of what I was doing was, I'm excited about my doing. I had the enthusiasm about what I'm doing, even more than the full-time job, which is paying the bills. It also impacted on the family time. So there came a point where the questions were, why are you doing this? Because I want to. Okay, but you're not getting paid for it, so you don't need to put in the effort into what you're doing.
Yeah.
So joining Downforce for me was a new avenue. At the time, Alex and Jake were talking Autosport that year of having Downforce as an opportunities engine. I wanted to be part of that and came on board. Now, I was extremely lucky because I was quite well known in TCR circles by the time I joined Downforce. 2018 was a whirlwind. So in March 2018 is when TCR UK itself started. I got invited along to go to be at the opening weekend by Mark James and the team there. And complete surprise of part of that as well was being able to speak to Marcello Lotti, who is the man who created TCR and to this day is all hell. Just in case he's watching.
Yes, he is the TCR godfather.
He is the godfather, yes. I maybe, and this will be something I've never forgotten. So at Silverstone on race day, we've been on the public grid walk, all the sort of thing that's part of TCR, and we've come off at that point. We're going back to stand by the fences and whatever to watch the race start. And at one point, Marcello Lotti says to me, hang on, you call yourself the guru. I'm not even going to try and attempt the Italian accent because I'm crap at it. You call yourself the TCRU guru, so who am I then? I went, yeah, you're the master. I may be the guru, you're the master, you're the boss. So by the end of that weekend, he'd looked at my social media, he'd looked at my blog, and he'd gone, let's make it all official.
Mm.
The Facebook group, so if anyone watching this is part of the official TCR Talk group, that's official backing. It's got the official behind it because Marcello Lotti said to me in 2018, let's do this. The blog got a new logo. I was introduced to the marketing team at WSC that are in charge of it all. And it suddenly opened up a lot more for me and I was a lot more involved. And it's like, this is what I want, but I'm still, and I'll be honest, working at Checkered Flag, working at Downforce, I wasn't getting paid. This was all done in my own time, same as it was for yourself. You fund yourself going to events, you're doing stuff in your own time outside of the full-time job. So it's a difficult thing to do. So by the end of 2018, I've got an officially backed Facebook group. I've got an officially backed blog. I went from Checkered Flag to working to Downforce. And I'm learning more and more, but it's not happening. So along comes 2021. So by that point, I'm covering TCR for Downforce and still working full time. And TCR UK itself had a big, I want to say it's a big explosion. It moved a big step from 2020 during COVID to 2021. Suddenly there's more TCR cars, more teams involved. And it looked like a proper championship as to what everyone wanted. And I was involved. I would be speaking to Stuart Lyons, to Nikki, being involved with the team that were running the championship as well as doing the writing and everything. And that all changed in February 22, which is when I phoned Alex up. I had a conversation with Stuart during the earlier during the year, and he said, "Okay, I want you on board. I want you've got the enthusiasm." Both he and I had spent years in the social media groups and everything defending TCR UK because it was looking poor. It had poor grid numbers. Suddenly it explodes. And then it gets to a point of Stuart saying, I want you on board because you've got the enthusiasm. You know about TCR. You know how to write. I've seen what you've written at Checkered Flag and Downforce. You know your stuff. And I want you to be part of the journey and being involved in this. So Alex gets a call at the end of February 22, and it's a case of, right, I've been offered a job, a full-time job. Now, I'm going to state here and now, for those that have the aspirations that are watching us and listening to us, it's very difficult. It is hard work. And as Alex said, keep pushing. And I did. And okay, yes, because I'd focused on TCR, I hadn't focused on British touring cars or World Endurance, other championships that a lot of people go towards. I stuck with TCR. And that hard work paid off. Now, at the beginning, when you said, what's my job, I've gone down the motorsport route. I also do a lot of work for Stuart's company, Maximum Networks, as well. So the day is very busy. If it's not motorsport on one side, it's IT networking, etc. on that side, which I'm learning all the time about. So it's one of those. You're going to get to do what you want, but there's a lot of hard work coming. And I am extremely grateful, and still am to this day, and I tell them it very regularly as well. I am extremely grateful to Stuart and Nikki for the opportunity they have given me. After they watch this, they're probably going to fire me, so I might as well enjoy while I've got it. Could you hold off sending this out till we've had the Brands finale? Yeah, can we go like November?
This is going to go out more than like. Sorry, I've got little Pooch whining at. Yeah, Toby, right, come here. Okay.
Does he want to be part of the? I knew this.
No. He's whining because a set of like. Now, this is our little mascot. This is little Toby. Here he is. Nearly 11, and you're still a whining little bag of fluff, aren't you? Especially when you're wondering when Mummy's going to come back, eh? In ya. Come on.
The amount of times Toby interrupts our calls and we have WhatsApp calls during the week, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's quite funny that we're recording this, folks.
Yeah.
And this is actually happening.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? You're interrupting my conversation, my mate Phil. You always do this when I'm on the phone. All right, I know you're shivering. Right, get your behind back in your bed. All right, come on. Come on, mate. There you go. Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Toby, star of the show.
He is the official commentator's corner mascot, and he just started going off on one. Hey! Shush. Shush. Lay down.
So basically, I am eternally grateful to Stuart and Nikki for the chance they've given me, and the hard work and training they've put in to get me to where I am and to what I can do. Now, I've met some amazing people in motorsport, Alex included, being part of Downforce, meeting various different friends through all of this, and the hard work is worth it. I've seen a lot of debate online of, okay, if someone's offering you something to be involved in motorsport for free, you shouldn't take it. You should be paid for your efforts. I completely agree.
Yeah.
But you need to have that step up and that chance first. And sometimes putting that effort in outside of a full-time job, seeing if you can work for yourself. Because at one point I was effectively working for the full-time job in the company and then also working on a self-employed basis for Stuart and Nikki. So, and suddenly you're like, oh, I'm holding down 2 jobs. If that's what it's going to take to get you to the point where you can get into a position where you can work in motorsport like we do and you get paid for what you do, that's part of the journey. And it's amazing how grateful you are. And I am always grateful for the people that have helped me, supported me, and still do to this day. So I'm going to embarrass Alex anyway and say, because he's basically been a mentor through all this. So it's Alex's fault that I'm here now, where I am.
2 seconds.
As well as speaking on the show.
2 seconds. I'm just going to let him out because someone's just come back. Hang on.
Yep, that's it. There he goes. Oh, he's lovely. There we go. Tail wagging and everything. It's brilliant.
Oh, my goodness me. Yes. So we are nearly at the half-hour mark already, and he's started going.
Well,
we are indeed. So we are going to break the north of 90 minutes mark. I really do appreciate that, Phil. I mean, the thing is that when we first started working alongside, we first met, when was it? Autosport? I think it was when you were with TCF.
I think it was, yeah.
2015.
So
2015.
Yes.
2015. Yeah. Phil had taken the train from Northamptonshire up to Birmingham to the NEC.
Oh, wow. Phil likes trains, by the way.
He does. He likes riding on them on a regular basis.
Another useless Phil fact for anyone watching. Phil likes trains.
Well, when he doesn't get a lift up to Croft like he did this year.
Oh yeah, there's that.
You got chauffeur driven there, sir, and that was that was a brilliant weekend. We'll get on to the atmosphere of TCR UK and obviously the people. But I mean, what a lot of people might not have already known is that this man has done some commentary.
I have.
Alongside,
I got to achieve the dream.
He got to achieve the dream alongside me for the Virtual Motorsport Online TC UK Championship for, I think, was season 2, and Phil was able to do most of the rounds, weren't you, if I remember correctly?
Yes. Yeah, I think there was one evening I couldn't make, but I was there for the rest.
Now, having had that opportunity, because I was asked, could I find somebody? And I went, I know someone this would be right up his alley. When I messaged you and I said, do you want to come and commentate with me on virtual touring cars? I bet you nearly hit the roof, even with the fact that you're not as able-bodied as a lot of people. Phil, I'll be honest with you, Phil is not the most able-bodied of people, but that is counteracted by his sheer childish levels of energy. Isn't that true?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes, I have suffered for the last 20 years with an arthritic right knee. It plays me up regularly. And I often spend on the Monday after a race weekend going, why do I do this to myself? Oh, yes, because I enjoy it. Brilliant. Although nowadays I can say it's a job, so it's fine. But no, when you contacted me and said, would you like to be involved, you're interested in doing some commentary on some virtual touring car racing. It's like, one, I know touring car racing, I love it. Two, yes, because even though I'd spent years writing motorsport and reporting on it, the dream of, I want to be Murray Walker, I want to be James Hunt, has never ever gone away. So being able to do that with yourself over the season that we did was just absolutely amazing. To be involved, to learn, and I'm going to say here and now, it's always about the learning. So doing the commentary with Alex, working with the brilliant Mike Yao, who I've also been able to work with earlier this year several times at TCR UK events with Alpha Live as well, was an amazing experience. And again, this was outside of a full-time job, so we get to 7:30 of an evening. I would literally have to clear out the front room, so no family, no dog, shut the patio windows, close curtains, pray to whichever deity I needed that the dog didn't want to come back into the front room because she missed me so much, and she often did, and that I'd be able to be as professional and knowledgeable as possible whilst thinking, I've got to keep up with the action. And if anything, it was an amazing thing to be part of and a real blast. And having spoken to Mike several times this year when he's been at TCR UK events for helping with the production on those, he said, would you come back and do it? I'm like, if I had the time, yes. And there's never any hesitation on that. If I had the time, and a faster internet connection, I'll be honest, yes, it's something I'd happily come back and do, because I had a great time with yourself, with Mike, and also with the guys that were sim racing. It was just an absolute blast to be able to get an opportunity to do something I wanted to do as a kid. On top of the writing and everything else, it was amazing.
Yeah, it does go to show that by having some people in the right places, it can give you another opportunity to add another notch to your tomahawk, so to speak. But what have been now? Phil has extensively talked about what he does. So Phil, just to give a little bit of an insight to what you do for Maximum Motorsport, Maximum Networks, TCR UK, Milltek Sport Civic Cup, just give us a general idea, like a summary of a typical day for Phil Kinch working for Stuart, Nicky Lyons and Ash Gallagher.
So the program just went to 2.5 hours, yeah?
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, yeah.
This bit is going to be edited out, you shit.
This could be edited out. Okay, damn.
Yeah.
And I'd have gotten away for it too if it wasn't for Goldschmidt.
I know.
No,
well, the thing is, even I have limits, Phil. Even I need, we know how busy each other are at the minute. So, exactly. But just take us through a general summary of I wouldn't say a typical day, because we know that no 2 days are the same. But let's say, for instance, it's. I'll give you an example. Let's say it's the Monday of race week. What exactly is happening for you on that Monday as a typical example?
I'm at DEFCON 5. You had to pick that one in your race week. I'm at DEFCON 5. Okay, so Monday of a race week. So I am making sure that, so in the run up to this, I have the entry list confirmed, drivers, teams, cars, all confirmed. For TCR, that involves if there's any car changes following the regulations that include any weight or anything like that, any new entries, etc. Those entry lists with all the varying amounts of information. Oh, done it long because it's back. Those entry lists with the varying amounts of information go to the team at Maximum Motorsport that run the events. They will go to the BRSCC with the information that they require. I will have sent out a championship release to all of the drivers and teams and the various people involved in those teams that need to know everything of all the information they require, so they can literally turn up at the track on the Wednesday or the Thursday, get in, get unpacked and get on with it. I'll be arranging contact with the VIPs, with the sponsors, any guests that are arriving, making sure they've got their tickets, making sure they've got their information they require. I'll be making any updates. If any releases have to go out, I'll be writing those and organising them, providing documents and information to the organisation team at Maximum Motorsport. So when they get on site, because I don't normally turn up at a track until sort of the Friday, so they'll be there on the Wednesday or the Thursday doing setup. They've got everything they need to know, people in garages, where things are being placed, panic plans. They have all that information. and that's a Monday. So when I say I'm a DEFCON 5, I'm literally up at no, sorry, not 8. I'm starting work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's like I must get this, and there is a whole list in my notebook that I have to cross things off, and if I'm not crossing them off, I'm making phone calls to the relevant. There you go, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Goldschmidt.
No problem.
I'm making phone calls to the relevant people, whether it's to the organisation team, BRSEC, circuit, anyone involved PR wise. I'm making sure everybody knows where they need to be, what's where it is, what they need to know. I liaise with the teams, so the various teams in TCR will have their various media people they work with to make sure they've got accreditation. They need to know what they can and can't do, what they can expect from the various circuits, organisations, etc. The same with the circuits themselves. So this year has been trying to get as much exposure for TCR UK and Civic Cup when they're together as possible. So working with the circuits, getting all of that information. So the Monday of a race week is extremely busy. And I'm just flat out with all of that sort of thing, picking up any issues, resolving any issues, if there's any last minute things to do. We've had drivers sign up within 48 hours of the event. So again, if you've got to change things, pick all that sort of thing, as you'll well know for Croft.
Adam Shepherd, who
Yes.
got on the podium, let's not forget, for race 2.
He did.
And I still remember on the grid walk, banging my knee in the driver's door on the grid walk, live on air, folks.
Yes.
Live on air. And I went, don't worry, I'm fine. Don't worry, I'm fine, Adam. You're MrLastMinute.com, aren't you? Literally, it was one of those really, really cool stories that he'd done the full day of testing at Croft. And at 7 p.m, his entry was confirmed. We went from 19 to 20 cars that weekend. And I still remember that weekend for many a moment when Henry Bodette got his water wings.
Yes.
Because he had the either the jacuzzi, the spa, or the swimming pool in the front of the Silver Bullet, as he likes to call it, his Fiat Panda. Then we also had the Muffin Man joke started.
Oh,
with Ollie Cottam,
true,
and then his dodgy socks and sandals combination.
Which has still continued through the year, by the way.
So the socks and the sandals have continued.
Oh, yes.
Is he still having the muffins before every race and qualifying?
No, we've finished that one now. That was just a Croft only thing.
Oh, that was a shame.
No, but the socks and sandals. Although I suppose I can officially call Oliver my stalker.
Oh yeah, because whenever there's a walk around happening and you're there, Ollie always finds you, doesn't he?
Yeah. So the minute I get to a circuit, so for those that don't know that haven't seen TCR UK, Oliver Cotton's one of the newest drivers this year. He's the youngest driver in TCR UK history. He's a lovely young man, learning his trade. He's really quick and he's really good and talented. And when we were doing his release at Autosport this year with himself, his dad, and his team that were with him, I think we sort of bonded. We had a great. He was really interested about how I do the PR side of things, releases and everything that's involved, getting everyone in the right place. And Ollie now just turns up wherever I turn up at a circuit. It's almost like he's a guided heat-seeking missile, and he finds me, and that's it. He's almost stuck to my side. So he started off at Snetterton stalking me whilst we were doing the pit lane grid walk, which he got caught out of. I did warn him. Then I stitched him up at Croft, and obviously that went as well as it did on the pit lane walk.
That did, because he. Well, I spoke with his old man after race 1 when his left front Goodyear Eagle had delaminated, and I saw Bruce Winfield from Area Motorsport coming across the start finish line with a 40 kilo success ballast because compensation weight. That's it. Compensation weight. Because he was the points leader after the opening 2 races at Snetterton. One won by Josh Files in the Elantra. The other one won by Lewis Brown after Josh's engine went kablamo 3 minutes before the end. And I did have a good old chat with Josh about that because he's been helping the team at Area Motorsports. You've got like Alex Lee, Bruce Winfield, and a few others in that crew as well, which is really, really good. But yeah, it was sort of like we caught him. I was talking to his dad, and I said, "Did he have his muffin before race 1?" Yeah. It was like a running joke for Croft.
It was, yeah.
It was one of the most light-hearted things, and also the fact that Ollie Cottam does not represent the UK, does he?
No, so he when we were doing the pre-season set up for this. And again, one of the many, many things I'm involved with is getting the drivers to confirm what flag they're happy to run with on the car. So, and Oliver runs with the Chinese flag. And that's his choice. He when I spoke to him, it's like, which flag are you having on the car? He says, I want the Chinese flag. Yes, I'm British, but I'm also Chinese as well. So I want to run that and give that bit of flavour to the group, which is great to see. It's lovely to see. You know, we've got Union Jacks, we've got St George's Crosses.
We've got the Saltire, we've got the Camution, yeah.
So it's great to see. And Ollie's one of these people that he's really been a great addition to the paddock because, as I say, not only does he stalk me, which I'm fine. If you're getting a stalker, you're obviously professional and famous. So that, I think, I'm not sure. Anyway,
moving on.
And now, moving on swiftly. So now he's also coming along with me, my good friend Andrew, who takes me to all the events and everything. And basically, what I'm doing is which started at Knockhill, God knows why, is doing a track walk. Because again, this is something I'd never done.
Mm-hmm.
You see people on social media, we're doing a track walk Thursday night, Friday, whatever. You know, we're looking around the track, and I thought, do you know what? I fancy doing this. Now Ollie wasn't available at Knockhill to do this, but kindly joined me at Silverstone and again at Donington, and he said he'll do it again at Brands Hatch. God only knows why I'm doing that to myself. It seemed like such a good idea at the time. So it's things like that. You can have a good laugh with people. And as obviously as you saw at Croft, Alex, you know, the TCR UK paddock is a good laugh. We've got some really good, fun people there that don't mind having a microphone shoved in their face, whether they've had a bad day, a good day, or they just fancy a good laugh or a chat about how things are going. And it's part of the fun. So yeah, it's really good fun. You know, a build up to a race week on a Monday, I'll be, like I said, DEFCON 5. Oh my God, what can go wrong? Come Thursday, it's mop up day. Mm-hmm. Everyone's had tickets. Everyone's had all the information. Everyone should have everything they've got. And I'm literally sat here going, right, I can finish off my various bits and bobs I need to do, waiting for the phone to ring in case somebody needs something or sorting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a typical day, that's a race day. That's a race week. It varies depending on what the week is and whether you've got an event or what. But I am constantly busy and busier than I ever expected to be. But that is also part of the job. You know, you get out what you put in, and as Alex will attest, I put in a lot, just like he does. We're both very, very busy for what we do, and yeah, the enjoyment comes of, you know, being trackside, seeing everyone there, the cars, the teams. Sorry, shall we make this one public? Seeing the pretties.
Yes. Finally, we got that into a show. We finally got that into a show. Brilliant.
Yes, brilliant. So my nickname for the TCR cars are the pretties because I absolutely adore them. I almost act as if they're mine. They're not. The teams own them, obviously, but I just, you know, they look pretty. So the pretties. So yeah, my comeback from that, what I get as enjoyment, you know, I see the racing, I see the cars, I meet the teams, the drivers, I get to speak to everyone, and that gives me such a thrill. Mm-hmm. To think I've gone from being a spectator. Okay, I'm in the background. I tried desperately to hide away from the cameras. I failed miserably. One day I'm just going to stick my face in the camera, and if you never see or hear from me again, that's a lie. Yeah,
we'll get onto that a little bit later in the show.
But I get that thrill from being involved to making sure that show, we put on the best show possible, the best experience possible. The teams and drivers get as much support as they possibly can, so that they can literally get in their car, go and drive around the track as quick as they can and score as many points as they can. It is an amazing feeling.
Yeah, because I have to say a very, very public thank you to this man. Because
hang on, from where I am, you're over there.
Yes, exactly.
So you're right there.
Yeah, don't start. I'm doing this with
space. Oh, you mean you're over there?
Yes, I'm to your.
You're over there.
You can see how quickly this conversation within 45 minutes has gone downhill very, very, very quickly. But I have to thank Mr. Kinch. And the reason being...
Me?
Yes. Because a certain somebody contacted me late last year. Now, one of the paddocks I've always wanted to be in is a touring car paddock as part of the broadcast team.
Yep.
So, Phil emails me, CC's Nikki, CC's Stuart, CC's Ash in the email, and goes, Alex, can you tell us your availability for 2023 for TCR UK? And I have to say, the biggest thank you to this man, because that was the biggest pay it forward I have ever had. Biggest pay it forward. So, Phil,
It's a pleasure.
even though I put my name down for, what was it? I think I put my name down for 4 rounds, didn't I? And
Yeah, it only turned out we only need the one in the end. But yes, you did put your name down for quite a few, and that was noted as well.
So, if people are going to say, am I going to be at TCR UK Milltek Sport Civic Cup next year? Don't know, but watch this space. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Fingers crossed. That's all I can say. But
that's not my decision, by the way. That comes from above.
But I have to also say a big thank you to Nikki, Stuart, and Ash for the trust and the opportunity, because it was an absolute blast. So let's get on to because I'm not going through any scripts on this episode, because there's no
it's
point.
It's all gone out the window and been thrown away.
There is going to be a little.
Toby left the room.
Well, as soon as Toby entered Toby was already in the room. He hadn't entered the room, and then vacated with wagging tail and all. It's gone a bit Pete Tong.
Yeah.
But let's get back to that weekend at Croft. Hot.
Yes.
At one point, Sunday morning, 85% humidity. We had rainfall. We had 2 crackers of TCR UK, and also the ding-dong battle that happened between Will Redford and Max Edmondson at Civic Cup round 3.
Yep.
Which
2 spectacular races.
2 spectacular races. Now, I remember because Phil had already said, I need a lift. And I went, well, sod it, I'm gonna book a hotel for the Thursday night, and we're gonna drive up, we're gonna leave at 9, get to Croft at about 1. So I ended up popping round, didn't I? And we went to the local Chinese, had something to eat, which was a wonderful evening.
Please, sir, one thought to add before we continue.
Go on.
We probably should tell the fans and viewers at home a really important fact about Phil.
Go on.
Phil doesn't drive.
So Nikki had already been in touch with Phil and saying, well, how are you getting up on Friday? Don't worry, Alex is meeting up with me.
Yeah.
So already because Andrew, who I've met, and he's a wonderful chap, likes his photography as well, I might add.
Yes, he does. He loves his motorsport.
Wasn't able to make it until the Friday evening. So I go round in the evening on Thursday. We have an absolute laugh. We have a chat with Sam Hall, as well. And then 9 o'clock the following morning, Phil goes out of his way to buy extra snacks and drinks for me out of his own pocket, which just goes to show the camaraderie in motorsport. We then get up to Croft on time. Now, I said to Nikki, I'll be there between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. We were there pretty much on 1. I then get given the wonderful Castor TCR UK jacket, which I was given strict instructions by Nikki. I need it back at the end of the weekend.
I've just had a flashback.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to say.
And I was like thinking, like in my head, I was like, this is too nice. I want this. But I couldn't, because it was the first time the full new gear was being used in the championship, because I remember Nikki saying, we've been waiting so long for this.
Yeah.
And Mr. Kinch was like a kid in a candy store when we were on my vlog. If you haven't watched it, link is in the description down below, which is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So we go over see I think Luke and everybody else, Adam and everybody from Alpha, and it was so nice that after the first time since Motorsport Arena Oschersleben, which had the biggest grid photo of 62 TCR cars. That was when the International Series and ADAC TCR Germany were that weekend. And Marcello Lotti will remember that weekend, because on Saturday night, we had the mother of all thunderstorms, and he was talking. I remember, and this was actually on the week that TCR UK was announced that it was
Yes,
going to
that's it.
happen.
That's it.
And I still remember doing, because I think if I remember correctly, I was still with Downforce at the time. And I
Yes,
managed to get some interviews for Phil, which were with
Mm.
Gordon Shedden, who was with Leopold Leopard WRT in the Audi
That's it.
RS3, and also former TCR UK head honcho David Sonnenscher. The amount of
Mm.
times people get his surname wrong is unfathomable.
I'm not going into that.
No, because Phil and I have already had that conversation off air.
We've had that conversation
We've had
so
to,
often. Oh my god.
But I still remember Manu Nord and myself were the only two people that had an audience with Il Grande de TCR, Marcello.
Yeah.
And he explained that TCR was very much like football in a sense, like the motorsport equivalent of football, that everyone has the same opportunities, same spec of regulations, and you have like your national, international championships, and then you have your World Cup.
Mm.
And I said, well, I still remember asking the first question, and he just went like, "He's only just been announced." Like I was just like, at least I got a response, and
Yes.
I still remember Mark James gets a shout out on this one because the interview with Marcello got published in Motorsport Days
Yes.
annual, and the first person to get a copy apart from me, Mark, and he said,
There
"Yep,
you go.
I'll." And what he said to me, Mark, I'm trying not to throw you under the bus on this. He said, "I'll keep the hard copy and send a PDF to Fabio and Marcello over in Italy."
Yeah.
But
There you go.
I called it, what was it? TCR's Godfather was the actual,
Mm.
and that was the first meeting. At that particular weekend, a man who was formerly with Touring Car Times now is part of the TCR organisation. Good to see Mr. Neil Hudson after such a long time. I haven't seen him in
Mm.
6 years, nearly 6 years. But that weekend, I think, was quite a good one because straight away, within an hour, I was already interviewing Bruce Winfield. I was speaking to Max Edmondson. Who else did I speak to? Louis Capitsoli. I'm trying to remember the list of. I spoke to 6 of the Civic Cup drivers, but Louis Capitsoli was the
Yes.
first one I made a beeline from because I actually did work with Louis on his social media when he was part of the Quaife Mini Challenge trophy, which was running occasionally as part of the support series for the British touring cars. And he did a spectacular job at Thruxton. But he's also one of the rookies. So you got for those wondering, you've got the EP3. Now, we're talking about with the old Honda Civic Type R that has the gear
20-year-old
selector.
at least, yeah.
Yeah. And then what else was it? It was the FN4, if I remember correctly.
FN2.
FN2. And Dave Marshall, I interviewed interviewed after quali before round 3, and he opened the door for me, and then the cheeky beggar had the nerve to say, "Well, you need to hold it. There's a Tagawa strap and a bolt and nut holding the door. No traditional like door hinge that you would see on a production. No, it's like belts and braces, mate. Belts and braces."
Yes.
And but yeah, just really, really good to see. I mean, Mr. Hughes got two pots that weekend as well.
Did. Yeah.
If I remember correctly. But I think that weekend where we had 3 different individuals, I did see I didn't see much of it. That the fact that there were 3 different individuals when Anthony Jordan was away in Europe on karting duties.
Mm-hmm.
Aoi was British touring cars, and I think Andy was British GT that weekend.
Yes, I think he was. Yeah.
So the thing was, you had two people from the world of karting who do love their motorsport, 4-wheeled or 2-wheeled, just like anybody else. But because of the fact that when it twigged when Phil emailed me and saying, what's your availability? I thought, now I can use my TCR knowledge. I can also use my automotive knowledge. Now, for people that do know, I have a 2.5 decade length of experience in the automotive industry, particularly in servicing and maintenance. And I think one of the wonderful chats that I had, which is one of the funniest moments I will never forget, is Jack Osborne getting pole position, gets himself back to 0 after having -6 points after Snetterton.
Jack Constable.
Jack Constable,
yeah.
Sorry, Jack Constable. My apologies, Jack. Who then picks up £1,000 for pole position, 6 points, puts him on 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he wins, which is, what was it, 40 points and 1,500 quid, I think. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
and 1,500 quid. Okay, so £2,500 in the bank balance. That'll help towards maybe a front set of Goodyear tyres for later on this season. He's probably already spent it anyway.
Probably, yeah.
And then the person that entertained me the most was a man that had sort of fobbed off TCR Italy, direct from Neuburg am Donau, from the Audi Sport Customer Racing Team as part of the TCR support program. Detlev Schmidt does his shaking his hips a la samba when Jack inherit. Now, this is one thing that has been talked about many a time. Carl Boardley had put a move on Jack round the outside of Clairvaux on the first lap. Nearly got the lead, if I remember correctly, on round 3 or race 3. Then Carl would eventually take the lead, but then end up copping a 5-second penalty for track limits. Now, this, and it wasn't just where we were at Croft. British touring cars were also getting a lot of bad comments on social media because of track limits. And I remember interviewing Carl, who only lives 25 minutes up the road in Ipswich from me. And I said, he said, what track limits? That's the thing. And that is a discussion, folks. Track limits has been talked about in Formula 1, British Touring Cars, World Endurance Championship. It does not matter. It does not matter. Track limits will always be a bone of contention. But then, but then we do the first paddock walk, and there is a little bit of a story. And Henry Baudet, you have now officially been name checked again in Commentator's Corner.
Doing well.
Yeah. So now, one of the things that Phil hasn't mentioned is that when you see the Inside TCR UK videos on the official YouTube channel, Phil is actually there with a walkie-talkie. Now, the thing is...
Well, actually, not so much now, but now and then they give me a radio,
Now and then, at Croft, he was there.
Snetterton.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about our weekend at Croft. And I'm not trying to single this out, but
no.
Phil was basically telling us about information. And the good thing was, when I talked about the fact that there were 62 cars on the grid at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben, he was sort of like, he already knows that because he was there. He saw the bloody thing happen. Exactly. I still remember that weekend in Oschersleben. Josh Files was running with Target Competition in the old school Civic back then. And I still remember Chris Richard. You remember him?
Yes.
His engine caught fire in race 1. And Andreas and the team at Target had that car on the grid ready for race 2 on the Sunday. Mega job by them. And I had to go over to Andreas and catch them. But Phil, what's it like being a bit, like really being entrenched as part of this family at Maximum Motorsport with Stuart and Nicky? Because I think I used quite a good analogy when I said, like, Nicky wants everything to be right. Stuart's the man with his head in the clouds, and Ash has got his head.
Oh, no. Stuart has a Stuart knows what he wants. He knows what he wants to see, and basically says to everyone, "I know what I want to see. I want to see A, B, and C. Make it happen." So it's. I'm not going to say he's simple. Stuart is not. He's a very clever person, but he gives a very simple outlook. I want this to happen. Go do, speak to who you need to, whatever. Nicky wants us to have the best show possible, so that we have the best spectacle on live stream, on track, that everyone's well presented, because we are a professional motor racing championship, you want to look your best. Everyone should look their best because it just looks even better to the fans, to the viewers, and everything. Ashley's come on board this year because he's got his experience from being involved with Ginetta for the many years that he has been and running the various championships, and that's been a big boost to ourselves at Maximum, to the championships, both the championships, TCR and Civic Cup, and it's been very eye-opening for me. It's been learning a lot more. So last year for me was my first year proper from the 1st of March last year. And Nikki was basically, she and I were speaking on the phone almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right, okay, we're going to teach you about this, going to teach you about this. What ideas have you got? What ideas has she got? What do they look for? And I was learning a lot. I'm very hard on myself. So if I get something wrong, I'll beat myself up really well. I do a really good job of it. But
Yeah, I know that
Nikki's
for a
also
fact.
one of these people. Yeah, Nikki's also one of these people where she's like, it's okay, you've made a mistake. But you've also realised that you've owned up to it and you're not going to do it again because you know you're not going to do it again. So I've learned a lot on that side of things. So I learned a lot last year, and I'm more involved, believe it or not, this year than I was last year. So, like Alex said, when you're seeing the paddock walks or the pit walks, I'm usually the poor devil running around trying to grab drivers. Can we speak to you in a couple of minutes? Can we speak to you in a couple of minutes? The boys are just down there, they're not going to be long. Can we speak to you? Is so and so about? If not, can we speak to someone? And if anything, I get a kick out of that as well because the drivers, the teams all know who I am because of the information I'm sending to them and instructions and everything.
Yeah.
So when I sit there now, Donington, and we've just had as a perfect example, in the build up to that, we said, right, we'll do a live pit lane walk in between race 1 and race 2, with the lunch hour. So I'm grabbing drivers left, right, and centre as I can. And then over the radio, we're going to do an ad break. We're going to put highlights up. We're going to do this. It's working with Luke and the team at Alpha in the very small medium. I think it was about the smallest one we had this year. So I'm even more involved than I was last year. Last year I was doing the social media, confirming results, doing session write-ups, social media posts as they go, uploading interviews. This year, I'm not just doing that. I'm also working more with the live stream team so we can give the best product possible at every event. So as Alex and Henry were going up and down the pit lane at Croft, in this example, I'm grabbing the drivers, or I've already sent out a heads up saying, can we speak to you at this time? Can we speak to you at this time? Because drivers and teams have a lot of prep to do over a race weekend, a lot of stuff to do with the cars, training, everything you can possibly think of. They're looking at data. They're trying to find ways to improve so that when they get in that car, they can go as fast as possible. So trying to grab people at times can be difficult, which is why you're not always going to see drivers on these things. You'll also see team members. I'm convinced, by the way, that we should give Les Wilson his own spin-off show.
Oh,
Okay, and
yes.
Andrew's convinced that we should have 15 minutes with Les because Les is so laid back and so comfortable, even when it's all going horrifically wrong. It's like, it'll be fine. I'm convinced he needs a spin-off show next year. Okay, 15 minutes with
It
Les, and you will feel so relaxed. It'll be amazing.
It's considering the fact that Henry caught him with a plate of pasta in his hand on the Saturday, which was absolutely hilarious. But we're now going to get onto funny moments because we're actually going to take a little bit of a detour. We're not going to use, for instance, social media, but we're going to talk about funny moments. Okay, Muffin Man we've already discussed.
Yes.
Socks and sandals we've already discussed. But whenever Paul O'Neill, Owie, is walking around the paddock, he always manages to find you. What's going on with that?
Because I'm normally stalking him.
So there's two stalkers in the paddock, you and Paul O'Neill, and then Ollie Cotton and you.
Ollie Cotton and me, yeah. So basically, Ollie Cotton stalks me, and I stalk O'Neill. So, no. So last year I wasn't as involved with the commentary side of things.
Yeah.
So the guys, so Andy McHugh and Paul O'Neill, when it was just the two of them last year, were sort of going on what information they could see, and being involved with those. that's been an eye-opening experience, because this year, again at Croft was actually quite a brilliant weekend for many different reasons. And one of those was stumbling across, pure accident, me being near Luke at Alpha Live and his directors and his guys, and going, oh, have you seen this? Oh, have you seen that? And making sure that little details are corrected, and if I can make a decision there and then because they can't get hold of Stuart, Nicky, or Ash because they're busy in race control or whatever, to make sure the show goes smoothly, that everything goes as it should do, has been great. And one of the things that came back from that when we were, Alton Park and the following rounds from both from Andy McEwen and Paul O'Neill, it's like, can you do the same with us? It's like, yeah, we just stumbled across it at Croft. So Alpha Live literally took over the media room at Alton Park for the one day, and in one corner you've got Andy McEwen, Paul O'Neill. And the next thing you know, they're coming over and asking questions. So I'm providing, to add to the many things I do for them, so I'm providing them the same as you guys: championship updates, points amounts, penalty information, all that sort of thing they may not see while they're busy commentating and doing. And then it's all, can I just check this? All, can I just check that? And it's now got to a fully fledged thing where we're basically working together now. So when you say, yeah, what is it every time you see Paul, I see you in the background, that's because I'm basically out there grabbing the drivers, or making sure he's updated. Now, at Donington, whilst we were doing the live pit lane walk, the race one result changed. So straight away, I'm being informed of this. My good friend Andrew, I'm half expecting him to appear down the stairs at some point. But basically, he does a lot of work to help me to provide the information to the guys. And as soon as something changes on TSL, if I'm not at my desk in the media room or where we're working, he can get on the phone to me. You need to know this. This has changed. This is updated. Sends me a screenshot. So straight away, we've had a race one winner change. I've grabbed Paul, shown him. You need to see this. I'll get Andrew to WhatsApp me this so I can get you all the information. And as soon as Paul is talking to someone, I'm then grabbing Anthony Jordan, and saying to him, "There's been a change. Quick chat with Luke. We're now going to go back to the top of the garage because this is important. We've had a race one winner change." So yeah, that's one of the reasons why you'll see me in the background, because at things like that, getting hold of the drivers, making sure the guys have got as much up-to-date information as possible. Because when we have the live streams on, fans watch us. We get a lot of fans watching us, which is good. But they'll also pick up on stuff because they're the sort of people that are watching TSL timing.
Yeah.
So you're seeing if the information's coming up, if there's a penalty, if there's something, a message comes up. Now, the commentators aren't always going to see that because they are focused on the screens they have in front of them, looking out the window if they've got one nearby so they can see the cars going past. And they're trying to look at 4 or 5 different screens at once. So now we're in a position where we've worked on this all year to get it to a state of a message can come up straight away. They see that message, and if not, I'm waving it like semaphore to land a plane. And not exactly that, but
True.
To get that information to them. And now it means that they get a more accurate picture. They're up to date with what the info that's happening. They can see what else is going on. They'll pick up on little bits. And at the same time, I'm also checking stats and stuff, so that if someone gets, their second win or their first win or first, all that sort of stuff, we can pick up on that because people enjoy that sort of thing. So yeah, if you see me with Paul, it's because I'm working with him. If you see me with Anthony, again, it's because I'm working with him in the background. I'm wandering up and down doing these various things and just working with the guys to give as much information back to the fans, to the followers, to the viewers, etc., as we possibly can about TCR. Because in effect, we've looked at this year and gone, do you know what? It's getting bigger, it's getting better, but do people know what TCR is in the UK? Let's educate.
I think,
and that's all part of it.
I think also with the fact that from what happened with Croft with myself, Scott, and Henry, has really set a new precedent for the coverage of TCR UK. And if people are like thinking, Alex, you were on screen with a hoofing big clipboard with you, and I said yes because I needed all that information. And Phil, you'll understand this as well. If you have the 7 P's mentality, which is piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance, then
say that after you've had several pints.
Exactly, that's a bit of a tongue twister. But the
I can't.
No, after 5 pints, you'll still be able to say if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
Yes, exactly. Oh, Daddy Longlings is back.
Yeah,
go away. Go away.
Another special guest. Probably the same.
Yeah, there we
Yes,
go.
same one. But I like how the fact that what was trialled at Croft with
Mm,
not the regular crew, but a crew who were brought in for one round.
mm.
And there's a picture that I'll actually share with you all, which was shared by Scott Woodwiss on Instagram. Absolutely, and he said, thoroughly enjoyed working with Alex and Henry at TCR UK at Croft. So, from my perspective, by having that hoofing big clipboard, I was able, because that was when we had the competition weights. But then
Yes.
there was one individual, and you've already been named earlier on in the show for very good reason, but Andy Wilmot was the first person in 2023 to get the 30 kilograms new entrant ballast stuck on his car, didn't he? And he
Yes.
wasn't best pleased
On
about
his
that.
iron knife. No, he
Yeah,
wasn't happy.
no.
Unfortunately, they are the regulations, but therefore, this is if you wish to go racing, this is what you go racing with.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's one of the many things which, again, we try to make sure that comes across to the viewers. And again, it's part of the information, as Alex will attest, that I'm sending out to the commentary team. Racing weights, numbers, stats,
Yeah.
changes in entry lists, all that sort of thing, so they're kept up to date
Yeah.
and as accurate as possible. And what worked at Croft was because Alex, yourself, and Henry were bouncing back and forth on the grid walk. That's now followed through with Paul and Anthony. So they have a quick chat with Andy at the beginning of the grid walk when we're there with the public around as well. And then they'll start bouncing around back and forth between each other, speaking to different drivers.
Yeah.
Because you guys did that so well at Croft, it's like, you know what? That worked. I want to do it again.
Yeah. I mean,
And ever since,
yeah.
That's how it's worked, and it goes so well.
The thing is, Henry and I have worked together since 2019, so we know how we bounce off each other. And by having that, and there was even times when I wasn't actually sticking the mic in Henry's face, you could still hear it. You could still hear it.
Yeah.
But it was because trying to keep it in proximity. When you've only got one mic between two people at the Civic Cup holding area, right down at the end of the start-finish straight. So, So I'm now going to detail what Phil sent to us. Now, this is an email that was sent back to us in May, and I'm just going to list off Spotter's Guide for both championships, commentary forms for both championships, entry list for Civic Cup, entry list for TCR UK driver commentary forms, the timetable. And these would be, over the course of that weekend, we had the day after, 3rd of May, updates.
Yep.
Updates. So, as Phil said, he does a lot behind the scenes, but that for me was a godsend because I thought, well, I can't print off the commentary list because, first of all, it's not going to fit on a clipboard that's only A4 size. So I thought, right, okay, what specifics do I need to know? And it was entry lists, who's in what car, have they got a competition weight, are they a new entrant, who's leading the points. So it's all that relevant information. So when you see me mention, like, what was it, when I mentioned about the second Civic Cup race going on at what time it was tomorrow, I'm doing that as a reminder for myself, but I'm also doing that for the audience at home. And the reason being is that people listen to it once and quickly forget. You tell them 2 or 3 times, then they'll get the message, and then social media goes, ping, this is when the race is going to start. So there's multiple different facets between how someone like Phil works and how that actually helps with regards to what I do. And the thing is, for those that don't remember, Scott was replacing Andy McEwen.
Yeah.
Henry was replacing Paul O'Neill, and I was replacing Anthony Jordan. Now, there is a little bit of a funny story, so Henry, you are going under the bus for this one. Now, the purpose of the Friday is, first of all, it's testing for the respective championships and also the support bill, because for 2023, TCR UK became a headline attraction through the BRSCC, which I was very, very happy to see. And also with regards to the Milltek Sport Civic Cup, because that weekend, there was some news published earlier on in the week, which I made sure hit the broadcast, which was the fact that the winner of this year's this year's Milltek Sport Civic Cup gets to go to Jazz Motorsport in Milan, gets a tour of the factory, and then gets to drive the car that Chris Smiley has been driving all season so far, the FL5 Civic Type R, which I have to say looks absolutely awesome.
Oh, it does. It's a fantastic looking car, and to be able to give the guys in the Civic Cup that extra sort of impetus, because unlike TCR, they don't get cash prizes, so they're getting their trophies, they're getting their champagne. That's it. This year in TCR UK, you're getting cash prizes for where you finish in the top 3 for the races and in qualifying, and at the end of the championship year. So, and anyone who's watched the Civic Cup races know that they're just as exciting and frantic with their on-track action. So to be able then to say, do you know what? You're the winner of this year's championship, whoever that may be, come the end of Brands in October, they can then go off to Yas, like you say, spend a day working with Yas Motorsport and understanding how they operate, and then spend an entire day testing basically the newest TCR car that's out there in the market, the FL5, and understanding how that car works. So it's an amazing prize when you consider that Civic Cup usually runs alongside TCR UK, will again next year. So every single round is an official feeder series again that TCR UK is at. So being able to put that out as well meant that weekend, all of a sudden, the drivers are like, oh, we've really got something we can go and race for, as well as the glory, the trophies, the champagne and everything, and for the fact that they love and enjoy their racing at the level it's at. So it's just an amazing thing. Alex was reading out there the various bits I sent in an email. So I'm the guy that's sitting there in a hotel room at 11 o'clock on a Friday night if something's changing, emailing.
Yeah.
Or on a Saturday night, emailing. I'm up at 5 the next morning, ready to go, checking, because it's amazing how things can change whilst people are sleeping. These things happen. So it's getting that information out there, and the more accurate the information the commentary team's got, the live streams got, the organisation team, everyone involved, the better things can happen. So yeah, again, we've not listed half the things that I do.
No.
There's a lot I do, and as you saw that weekend, to make sure that you guys are in the know, so that everyone is up to date with what's happening and keeping chart of it.
And also being part of such a professional championship as well. One of the other things that we as commentators or presenters or pit lane reporters have to do is that we have a briefing the week before the event. So literally, we're effectively, because it was the fact that, okay, yes, Andy, Paul and Anthony were off elsewhere. So we were, the new kids on the block, so to speak. And it basically was that. But because I'd worked with all 3 of them together, all 3 of them at separate, both the other 2 at separate points, I knew how each of them worked. So there wasn't an issue at all from my perspective. And plus also, it was quite a harmonious sort of like melange of 3 different individuals. But Scott is also part of the BRSCC, so he does a lot of social media in his own right. But to get the opportunity to not just do the BRSCC feed alongside the awesome Rob Lewis, you get a shout out because you were on episode number 18, but also was then the man charged with, right, okay, you're doing TCR UK and Civic Cup, your lead comms. And for those people wondering, was I disappointed that I didn't get to be in the box? Hell no. Hell no. And I'll tell you for why. And this is where the story with Henry comes in. And this is where the Water Wings story gets a re-mention for very, very good reason. And I have to give a shout out to Lauren Harrington Carter, who's Ollie's social media maestro. Lauren is a fantastic person. Funnily enough, I was at Motorsport UK in Bicester in Oxfordshire, and she was also there for a different reason as well. She went, "Are you here in Motorsport UK?" I said, "Yeah, doing sim staff training." She was like, "Ah, cool," And I was there for a completely different...
Lauren's also been keeping me company as well on the track walks.
Yes.
She was so apologetic to not be able to make the Donington Park one. She was so upset.
I know.
So,
but Lauren is a good egg. She used to do a lot of work at Wilton Mill Kart Club as well, where Stuart and Nicky's son, Finley, has raced many a time.
And will be again this weekend.
Yep, indeed, because it's
Well, at the time of recording.
Yes,
at
it's
least. Let's make that clear, yes.
round 7 of the Wilton
Round
Mill
8.
round 8 of the
Yep,
Wilton
round
Mill
8.
Kart Club, which I don't think is being live streamed anymore because Alpha Live
It's not. No,
has got
he's
so much going on now.
no.
But we were all asked to be there at 1:00. So Scott was already there, or no, Scott got there a little bit later that afternoon, I remember, but not too late. We got there at 1, and then I get a message from Lauren saying, and she sent me, she shared a video off of Facebook, and then has gone, laugh out loud emoji multiple times. Actually, I'm going to have a look on my phone right now.
Oh no.
And no, but this just goes to show. Yeah, she went on the 5th of May. Now we had already arrived an hour and a half earlier, so we had a very, very nice, easy journey up. TCR Croft, here I come, jacuzzi and all. And then I've gone, laugh out loud, more like a fitness pool. And then she's gone, bet it smells lovely in his car. And then I see her in the pit lane, just outside of the back of Ollie's garage. And she said, maybe we should get him some water wings. So at the end of the paddock, of the inside TCR on Saturday, I go, well, on your way back to the Isle of Barry in South Wales, not too far outside of Cardiff, here's a little flotation device. He's got, I got a nice pair of water wings, which promptly he asked Nikki if he could wear them, and she went, no, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. So it got shot down. But at the time, it was one of the moments of the weekend because Henry did not get to Croft until we were leaving at 7:00 for me to drop you off at your hotel.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he did struggle. He had a mighty journey, and Silver Bullet with its sudden in pool system that he wasn't expecting was obviously a bit of a. But Henry made it. He got there. We didn't rib him too much.
No, we didn't. But I think it was mainly because the thing was is that there were certain roles in place. Now, because I had been there since 1:00, and they straight away went, okay, Alex, we're going to get you to do the pit lane interviews. And I just went, this is my opportunity to go full bore on a MS UK recognised championship. It's one of the top championships on the BRSCC, and I'm going to be interviewing the drivers post race, post qualifying. And you know what? It was one of the most exhilarating experiences, considering when I had the full. What you folks saw at home when Detlev Schmidt was doing his Samba orientation class, when Jack Osborne was coming into pit lane. Jack Constable, sorry, I've done that again.
Yeah,
sorry,
you
Jack.
have, haven't you?
Sorry.
He'll find you. He'll find you. I'll tell you.
I've already followed him on social media after Croft.
Oh,
anyway,
that's
so,
that. Yeah, that's that. No, that's it.
Sorry, Mr. Constable, and shout out to Steve Ravenscroft, whose company logo is emblazoned on his Rob Boston racing car. Still, was I got the full view. And it was not a pretty sight, Detlev Schmidt. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry, Detlev. Tut mir leid. But it was I think it was one of the, apart from the Muffin Man, the socks and sandals, but at least he had checkered flag socks on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. We let Ollie off for that.
We let Ollie off for that one. But white socks and black slide-ons, no. Make sure it's camouflage next time. Just do black all the way down from the waist downwards, Ollie. You'll be fine. You'll be fine, mate. Believe you me.
That's it.
But I think when you just go, I might feel out of my comfort zone, but I'm absolutely loving this. Like, it was just brilliant. And then the funny thing is, Henry and I were staying at the same hotel. I was also staying at the same hotel as Carl Bordy and the guys at the team that he was running with. because he
Yeah,
swapped.
CBM with Heart. Yeah,
Heart
CBM with
GT.
Heart GT.
Yeah, Heart GT. And I had a
Yep.
chat with them at breakfast on the Sunday morning, and I said, "What time did Carl go to bed last night? 10 a.m. 10 p.m. on the dot." Because he wanted, and they said he wants to win.
Yeah.
Very, a very, very good point. Dan Thackeray was also there as well, and he won race 4.
Yep.
And considering the fact that the guy had never been to Croft before, qualified P12, and ended up having Harvey Caton not too far behind him, right up his bumper, 6/10 behind at one point.
Down during that race. Yeah, that was quite impressive.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, I would want to go through the routine line of questioning with Phil, but this chat has been completely unscripted. Now we're going to talk about some other facets of Mr. Kinch. Now, you mentioned sci-fi.
Where's that solicitor's number? Oh, no, it's okay. That's fine. Yeah, sci-fi. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Now, Phil, please say to everybody, what is your favourite sci-fi genre or multiple thereof?
I'm so happy you said molds. Do you know what? I don't know if you saw the Paul O'Neill asking questions thing. If he ever grabs me and does this, because I'm praying he doesn't. I had a nightmare after Donington that I was involved in that question. He walked up to me and went, "Phil, Star Wars or Star Trek?" And I can't do it. Can't do it. Although at the minute, I would admit more Star Trek than Star Wars. So I love my sci-fi. When I'm not watching motor racing, working in motor racing and everything like I do, I love my sci-fi. And again, since childhood, again, another thing my father's responsible for. And yes, I have equal love. I'm one of those weird people. I have equal love for both Star Wars and Star Trek. Currently, it's more Star Wars than Star Trek, but again, it ebbs and flows.
Mm.
When Strange New Worlds was on, it was more Star Trek than Star Wars, but we won't go.
Yeah.
There's lots of sci-fi I enjoy. I grew up at a time when there was lots of good sci-fi about Doctor Who. Later on, Stargate. Blake Steven.
Right.
There's a whole lot of sci-fi I enjoy.
Now, for those people, now I'm a little bit of a sci-fi nerd myself. I do watch a lot more Star Trek than I do Star Wars, but I love them both.
I'm working on him.
No, he's not. He's lying.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. Right, you mentioned Stargate because, folks, there was a live-action movie with Kurt Russell as the General. And who was the other guy? I'm trying to remember his name now.
James Spader.
That was it. James
Daniel
Spader
Jackson.
Daniel Jackson. Then they did 2 series as well. They did Stargate SG-1, and then they've done from what I remember, SG-1 and Atlantis. But what's number 3, Phil? Because you're now going to
Universe.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, so Stargate Universe was a second spin-off, and it was a much more serious attempt at Stargate than it was. I think part of it was because you had the whole Battlestar Galactica reboot from previous years, which was very serious sci-fi that was award-winning, so it seriously went down well.
Yeah.
And the people who were in charge of making Stargate went, you know what, we could do a different way to do things, but we should do it more. So it didn't really work. It had 2 series, but yes, there are 3.
I think, coming on to Battlestar Galactica, I still remember Starbuck being played by Dwight Schultz, the man from Face out of the A-Team. And then the reboot comes out. And I'm like, you know what? And if anyone asks me, what do I prefer, the reboot or the original? I'll be completely honest with you. With Battlestar Galactica, the reboot is so gritty. It's so... That's one of the things I like about sci-fi as well, Phil, is that you can have, like a bit of a jokey sort of atmosphere in certain sci-fis. I still remember Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. If anyone remembers that gem with, where you had Tiki, who was going like mini, like the little robot with, that was it. So the thing is that both Phil and myself are 80s kids, Phil's slightly a bit more well-aged than me. I'm not.
Very good.
I
I'll let you have that. I'll let you have that. I
But
was wondering what was coming.
but yeah, well, the thing is, decorum is the better part of valor, isn't it, Phil?
Yes, very good, young sir.
And that is true. That is true. I won't. You know what the thing is that I finally have a guest who actually outscores me on the year scores.
Now I feel old. In fact, I outscore still everyone at Downforce. Isn't that really scary?
Yeah, I was the
I,
eldest.
I, I am.
And I'll be honest here, I was the eldest until he came along. But it's not. But
I'm the
folks,
old man.
it's not by much. It's not by much. Believe you me, it's not by much at all. But we
Nope.
still have the same sense of humour, the same childish exuberance for motorsport.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions I do want to ask you though, Phil,
Hmm.
which I feel are quite pertinent because it relates to the topic of Commentator's Corner.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the first ever motorsport event you went to in person? Now, do you remember when, where, who it was with, what you saw, and what were the most overriding memories of that?
Uh, a resounding yes to all of those. So the first motorsport event I attended was the British Touring Car Championship at Snetterton on the 1st of May 1994. Now, anyone who's a motorsport fan, young, old,
Mhm.
new, etc., whatever, will often remember that date because that's the day that Ayrton Senna was killed at Imola during the San Marino Grand Prix.
Yep.
So I was living with an uncle of mine at the time who was he had a lot of interest in motorsport, knew a lot of friends, and was able to get some tickets for the British Touring Car Championship at Snetterton. So it's 1994, so we're talking the Alfa Romeos having turned up, the Volvo Estates, etc., the Mondeos and everything. I have unforgettable memories of sitting behind the metal barrier on what was the Revit Straight back then, because obviously Snetterton's had a lot of work done,
Hmm.
and just hearing these 2-litre naturally aspirated monsters just zooming past. At the time, that felt like stupid speed.
Yeah.
They also had the classic touring cars there, Ford Mustangs, Minis, Camaros. They were just amazing to look around. And one of my uncle's friends was running, I think it was one or two Lotus Cortinas, and again the colours they were in, you just couldn't miss them. They were fantastic cars to look at. Thoroughly enjoyed the racing. Thoroughly enjoyed qualifying because the racing itself was on the Monday, Bank Holiday Mondays. It used to be back then when they raced at Snetterton. It was on the
Right.
second. So this was qualifying day. So of course you had the cars out doing their various practice sessions, qualifying and doing all that. I remember meeting up with my uncle and a few of his mates. We'd all gone together, sat in the car. He had the radio on, brought out some food and whatever, and basically suddenly went quiet. He says, "Here, Phil, you're probably going to want to take notice of this." Turns the radio up, and maybe about this is maybe about an hour and a half after the accident. He's got the BBC service on the radio, and that's when it's all being talked about Senna being killed
As
and
you,
what's happened there.
and as you say, Andrew's just walked into shot.
Yeah, he won't come over and embarrass me. No, I've said that. He'll probably do it.
Yeah.
But no, and that's my first. I've never forgotten that day. For a long time, I held the view at a young age, like I did then, that it's because I wasn't watching him on telly. If I was, at home watching him on telly, it would have been fine. But obviously, you've got millions of people around the world watching that on telly. So my first ever motorsport event being the British Touring Car Championship on that particular day, and it's that particular day. I've just never forgotten it. Now, ironically, I didn't go to another motorsport event again until 2010,
Right.
and that was a birthday treat. So my birthday landed on a leap year that year, which was a Sunday, and it was British Touring Car Finals Day. So I went with my partner, her two sons, one of his friends, and it was utterly amazing. Now it's one of those times again. I'm not going to forget it because it was 2010 before the NGTC cars came in. You had the Super 2000 naturally aspirated cars. They were, the turbos were coming in to play in British touring cars. And that weekend, Ben Collins, who had since been publicly known as the Stig, was there taking part in one of the motor-based BMWs, and we had a chance. He had his book out, so he was doing signings and meeting people and stuff. And I'm claiming this. I still claim this to this day. It's my fault. I'll take full responsibility. Um, you know what's coming. So I went up there, got signed, bought a copy of his book and got him to sign it. Had a chat with him. I've still got a picture on my phone somewhere. Trying to look cool in my sunglasses. And he said, "Oh, well, yeah, are you a fan?" She was just, I love all forms of motorsport. Watched Top Gear recently. A friend of mine's got me back into it. That was excited about it at the time. I said, "Obviously, thinking about you and Steve." He said, "Oh, you're going to love the book. Book's brilliant." I said, "Thank you very much for taking the time." When we finished talking, I said, shook his hand. I went, "All the best for race 3. You're going to have a cracking race." What did he do? Went backwards in a gravel trap. I cursed the Stig. Okay, I did it. My fault.
And that was
the guru cursed the Stig before the guru was the guru.
And on that note, folks, that is officially we are now officially, by about 4 minutes, the longest ever episode of Commentator's Corner. We're going to keep going. We are going to keep going, but I'm going to cap this at 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know what, there's got to be some memorable... what I'm going to do is I'm going to categorise this for very, very good reason. Now, you've been part of behind the scenes with TCR UK, alongside Stuart, alongside Nikki, alongside Ash now as of this year. What would you say are probably some of the hilarious moments that you've had so far in 2023 as being part of the paddock? I mean, apart from the ones that we've talked about at Croft.
Okay.
But I want
photos
no. Hang on a second, because there is a further stipulation to this.
Okay.
You've got to tell me the first 3 memorable moments about the season so far that come into your head.
Okay, the first 3 memorable moments about the season so far. Memory number 1, media day.
Right.
Donington Park, hammering it down with rain. I had the opportunity to go out in a TCR car, Oliver Cotham's TCR car, with Paul O'Neill driving. Something I wanted to do, and I chickened out because I basically went, you know what, my fat backside is not getting in a race and seat in that car as much as I'd love to. So I chickened out. However, my first memory from that's just a reminder. So my first memory is the fact of myself and Andrew have been working on various things for the championship points calculator and all the devices we use. And I got a phone call from Nikki Lines. And she said, "Have you guys stopped down for lunch yet?" I went, "No, we haven't had a chance yet. I'm dealing with various things and stuff and making sure stuff's, doing as it should be. Stuart's asking me to do this." Ash is, "Oh my God, you haven't eaten?" I went, "Not yet." She went, "Right, okay, I'm bringing up some stuff from the buffet we've got." "Has Andrew eaten?" "No, I think he's been sat here the whole time." It's right, okay, I'm bringing him up some as well. So in the meantime, Andy McEwen, Paul O'Neill, Anthony Jordan come and sit around the table where the two of us are working, got some questions about who's doing whatsoever. And I am not ever going to forget the looks on their faces when Nikki turns up in the media room at Donington with a great big cardboard tray of 2 huge cardboard plates of food on them, puts them down and says, "Right, make sure the pair of you eat." Andy McEwen straight away says, "Where's mine? Stand in the garage, go and get it," is Nikki's answer. Anthony's like, "Why does Phil get special treatment?" "Because Phil's been busy working, so I need to look after him." "Okay, yeah, I can work with this." And Paul O'Neill's like, "Mate, is this in your contract?" I'm like, "I'm working on it." So the looks on their faces is my first memory. That was just classic, and I thought, yeah, this is how it's going to go. This is going to work well. The second memory was being able to go on the grid walk at Snetterton. Because this year we've said about having public grid walks where possible at events where we possibly can. I think Donington's the only one we haven't had one yet. And I was utterly shocked at the amount of people that were there on that grid walk, looking around and looking at the cars and stuff. Now, I love the cars, the pretties, as we've said publicly.
Which did make it into the vlog, saying
yes, it did.
Here
yes,
are
the pretties.
the pretties.
Yes. So, but seeing so many people on a grid before race 1 was absolutely amazing. And just seeing what effect it was, all the promotion we'd done, all the social media we'd done.
Yeah.
And again, Nikki phoned me up and she's like, Phil, have you seen this? I'm like, this is just nuts. And she's like, you've seen how many people are here? I'm like, yeah. Normally I will try and grab drivers and wish them best of luck and everything up and down the grids. And it, 24-car grid, it's like, oh my God, there's so many people. So that for me is going to remain for me from this year as one of my memories. My third memory, I'm going to say the reaction I got when I finished walking a lap of Donington Park National on the Friday of that weekend. 27, 28 degrees. It's humid. Andrew, the lovely Leanne, who I work with, as you know, Leanne's brilliant. She is at her job. Ollie Cotton. And basically, as I'd done at Knockhill, as I did at Silverstone, let's do it, let's walk a lap. But instead of taking a video at each corner like I've done previously, I've actually got my video recorded the other day. That's going to be fun. I said, well, I'm just going to walk. It's a hot evening. It's about 6 o'clock in the evening. Several towels, several water, bottles of water, ice water and stuff. And we started walking around the circuit, and the insight from Ollie is amazing as a driver. Doing a track walk is amazing. Because you suddenly get so much more understanding of what the track is like. It's exactly what any commentator says when you're looking, you're watching a motorsport event. You can see the track on the live stream, the TV. You can see the various camera angles. You don't know until you've walked it, the undulations, the inclines, declines, exactly. It took me about 40 minutes to do just under 2 miles. I was knackered. I hurt. It was difficult. I did it. And I'm not ever going to forget. So Ollie went back to his motorhome when we'd finished the lap. Leanne and Andrew walked me back to the TCR race centre. And we said, right, we'll get you a bottle of water, give you a chance to cool down. And then I said to Andrew, if we can go home, we'll call it a day. And the first 2 people to congratulate me are Nicky Lyons and Mickey Butler.
Yes, because Mickey.
Yeah.
Well, for those
Mickey's there he's the official representative for Goodyear for the tyre suppliers to TCR UK. Now, I don't talk to Mickey often, liaise with him for various bits in front of ahead of championships and stuff. And he walked up to me. He stood up. He said, "Mate, sit down, grab a chair, take my chair, sit down. Have you just done one of your track walks?" And I've posted videos on Instagram and Facebook previously when I've done them. And I said, "I'm absolutely shattered. I was sweating. I was a complete mess. It was absolutely horrific." Shook my hand. He went, "Do you know what? You've done a fantastic job." He says, "That's what, 3 you've done now?" I says, "Yes, 3." Nicky congratulated me. Mickey congratulated. And I just sat there and I thought, it's just the camaraderie in the paddock. And I'm not saying it's just from them. I get that from Stuart. The stories I could tell you from the conversation I've had with Stuart Lyons is amazing.
Oh, believe you me, I had a few of them at Croft.
Yeah. From Ash, from Adam, from Jack, the whole team in the paddock, the organisation, and the drivers and the teams themselves is just amazing. And I've not forgotten the fact of so many people walked up to me and went, "It's absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing." There's lots of other memories, but those are the 3 that stick out for me. And if anything, just says to me, I get up, I do my job. I know it's hard work. I enjoy it. And then the thrill comes when I go for a race weekend and I get to do stuff and I see everyone I get to work. It's, just amazing.
Well, folks, that is going to wrap it up for episode number 25. Thank you very much, Mr. Phil Kinch. You can find him on social media along with TCR UK and Milltek Sport Civic Cup because the links are in the descriptions. Whether you are watching on YouTube or you are either listening on one of the 5 networks because there has been a little bit of breaking news.
Ooh.
Yes, and you're the first one to hear about it. So, not only is Commentator's Corner on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music, but I can now officially reveal the 5th source is the nation's motorsport station, Downforce Radio now has Commentator's Corner as an audio podcast on its roster. You'll probably find it maybe on a weekend evening. I have to say a big thank you to Jake because he contacted me a few months ago when I started this little passion project up, and he said, I really want to get Commentator's Corner on there. Are we okay to do that? I said, yeah, fine, just get the RSS feed. So, but Phil, thanks very much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure. Don't forget to keep an eye on what happens in the coming weeks and months. And if you are going to go to Brands Hatch on October the 22nd and 20 is it the 21st?
21st and 22nd.
21st and 22nd. You want to be there for the TCR UK Touring Car Championship and Milltek Sport Civic Cup finales in person, because it's going to be an absolute cracker. And if you do get the opportunity to meet this man, reach out to him on social media. His links are in the description down below as well. Phil, thank you so much for being a part of a milestone episode here on number 25. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, kind sir.
So, episode 26 is around the next Apex. Who will my next guest be? You're going to have to wait and find out. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. Commentator's Corner episode number 25 is dedicated to the memory of the late Dan Kirby, who at the age of 37 on Tuesday, September the 19th, 2023, passed away. Dan was a successful man, not just in racing, but also in the automotive industry, competing in championships such as TCR UK and also with Trade Price Cars Racing, making its debut on the British Touring Car Championship in 2019. Our thoughts and our prayers are with his wife Beth, his family, friends, colleagues and loved ones. Dan, thank you for the memories. We love you. We miss you. Rest in peace.